Hello everyone, Dr. John Bartemus here from Functional Medicine Charlotte with Rebecca and Scott. And Rebecca's going to share her story with us of her transformation. So Rebecca, why don't we start with what first brought you in for functional medicine care or got you started looking for our solutions?
There was a lot of reasons. I knew about functional medicine briefly from knowing you actually, and knowing some of your patient testimonials. But I think the biggest reason that I sought it out was my breaking point was the anxiety. I've had several medical issues leading up to this, but my anxiety got to a point where I felt like it was really uncontrollable. I was breaking down. I didn't have patience with anybody. My husband, my family, it started affecting my work. Couldn't have a professional conversation with, work colleagues. And I just kept feeling like everything that got put on me, it was just one too much stuff, and I just couldn't handle, anything. And it got to the point where I just felt like I couldn't control it anymore.
Okay.
So.
And Scott, would you say you felt the brunt of that?
Maybe not the brunt, but yeah, it was difficult, things that typically I felt like would be simple, easy conversations and stuff might veer off into potentially bad arguments and stuff. So it definitely was time to find something to help with her issues.
And it wasn't even just my attitude and my reactions with people. It was also, my thinking. Like, it was very negative. I always felt like, people were judging me. I would look across the pool and this lady would be looking in my direction, and for some reason I would think that she was looking at me and judging me for something that I did, even though she was probably looking right past me, or just stuff like that. I thought everyone was judging me constantly about what I did and how I was doing it, and kind of stuff like that as well. So
internal dialogue as well as personal interaction with people.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what else? Were there other things?
I had some digestive issues. I had, I think a couple weeks in, I even said to my husband, I'm like, a couple weeks into our treatment plan, I said to my husband, I was like, it feels so good not to go to bed with a bellyache. I think I was going to bed, and it wasn't really until I laid down. It wasn't like I was nauseous every evening or, feeling upset. It was like when I laid down, I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that just wasn't right, and it was starting to be every night.
I think it started to become the norm. Like, she was getting used to it, and like she had said, once she started the program and stuff, a couple weeks later, she texted me and said, I forgot what it felt like to not have my bellyache every single night when I went to bed. So I think she got to a point where that bellyache, she didn't even really recognize that it was an issue because it was the norm for her. So then when she did finally did functional medicine, did the plan, she realized, oh wow, I guess this issue was a lot worse than I originally thought it was.
Yeah, and now looking back too, just the stuff that is so much better. I realized how much brain fog and that I had, and I definitely had a lot of problems with my sleep. I was waking up almost every night, couldn't put myself back to sleep, was up for hours, wasn't getting any quality sleep.
Yeah, I would come into the room at night after she'd be in bed, and I'd tiptoe in there hoping that I wouldn't wake her up, because if I got into bed and she woke up, that was it. Like, she was up, it didn't matter what time it was, and she wouldn't be able to go back to sleep. So
yeah.
It was definitely some sleep issues.
That probably didn't help the mood.
No.
And I have a lot of body pain and stuff too. I see a chiropractor in the area, and I always have this one spot that constantly hurt. Along with other complaints, but I felt like it started to be constant. Like, every week it was something else, And he actually told me a while back to get off of gluten, and I considered it, and then I was like, I don't think I can do it. So I put that on the back burner for a little bit, but it was amazing, the transformation once I did. It was great. So
So even the chiropractor noticed change?
Absolutely. Actually, like I said, I always had this spot in my neck, and I attributed it to my aesthetics at work. You know, I sit at a desk all day for my day job. I try to do my best to stand up every now and then, sit on some ball chairs, and make sure my computer monitors are where they're supposed to be, and my keyboard's where it's supposed to be. But I was still getting this pain in my neck, and I mean that's been going on for years. And I remember a couple weeks into my functional medicine, it wasn't bothering me anymore. It was kind of crazy, and even I went into my chiropractor, and he was like, "How's that pain in your neck?" And I was like, "It's actually gone. It's not there," And he actually made a couple points about my flexibility and and just
Not as
noticed,
tight.
noticed really good changes. So
That's neat. Like
it
that.
is. It's awesome.
He noticed it before you even mentioned it, and that's without your workstation didn't change or anything.
Nope.
Cool. So, in dealing with all of these things, I guess what would be a difference between what you had tried from a conventional standpoint compared to a functional medicine standpoint?
So obviously my anxiety's been going on for years, attributable to many things, I'm sure, but I've seen multiple doctors who have put me on various medications, antidepressants. Finally, I said I didn't want to do that anymore because it wasn't helping anyway. Basically, even before I started this functional medicine, I'd been to a handful of doctors who are basically like, you're the healthiest 35-year-old I know, and all your tests look great, and maybe just take a little bit more vitamin D, but nothing really, crazy popping out, and nothing that they told me that was really a concern at all. But going through this functional medicine, Dr. Bartemus got all of my past, medical records and went through them, and the number of highlights that were just not right or not in line was really eye-opening to me, especially after all of those doctors telling me that everything just seemed fine. But the part I was telling you about before was had some stomach issues. I went from one doctor to the next doctor to this specialist to that specialist, had an endoscopy, a colonoscopy. They finally ended up sending me to my gyno, who did a ultrasound. She did some further testing, ended up sending me to a thyroid specialist. And even the thyroid specialist is like, well, your levels are a little high, but nothing to be concerned about, nothing to be put on medication for. So, just come monitor it and come back and see me. And
Well, do something when there's more damage.
Exactly. So she noted that they were a little elevated, but nothing that was, concerning her, raising a red flag to her that, I needed to make adjustments somehow, or she didn't recommend that in any way.
Yeah.
Obviously, come to find out during our functional medicine treatment plan, I have an autoimmune disorder, or how do you say it? Autoimmune disorder, Hashimoto's, that attacks my thyroid. And I feel like if I went to a specialist who just deals with, thyroid problems, that's something that, that would have
Maybe.
come to fruition.
Should be noted. Yes. That's significant.
So that was really eye-opening to me. And, just the number of people who said everything's fine, everything checks out,
Yeah.
And this was years ago, so
An accumulation of years.
Right.
Yeah. So in discovering those things that really did matter and had been there over time, now with functional medicine we address it from a natural perspective. So in incorporating the action plan, what has the result been? What have you noticed?
Oh, it's been great. My anxiety is just like night and day. I feel like I'm not where I want to be yet, but I am significantly better. I mean, 85% in the right direction. I feel like maybe the triggers are a little bit different, but even when I do feel a little bit of anxiety, I can manage it a little bit better. And I definitely don't have them as much. I don't break down. I don't have as many breakdowns per se.
One of the things I notice is I might say something that I probably shouldn't say in the first place, where would get me in a lot of trouble before, where you know, if I say it in the morning, I'm hoping by bedtime she's speaking with me, or by the next morning, where now I know now I notice that, you know, it either doesn't bother her at all, or within 15 minutes she comes to me and, you know, talks to me, hey, can you approach this a little differently? Like, she definitely manages me a little better as well. So that's something that,
and with Camden,
and with our son,
just night and day.
Yeah.
And then the stomach pain?
Gone completely. It's awesome. I mean, I haven't had any digestive complaints for quite some time now. Actually, maybe one when I had a slip up that I wasn't even aware of. That really,
which was actually kind of beneficial, because it's like you're doing this plan for so long, and unintentionally she had some food that, you know, for 2 days wasn't the best
the
situation.
chicken on my chicken salad was marinated in something
Right.
that wasn't supposed to be, but
But it was awesome, because she's like, it was kind of a light bulb moment. It's like, wow, this is really, like, it's definitely working. Like, my stomach's been awesome, and on accident I had this chicken, and this is how crappy I feel because of it. So it was.
And to be honest with you, like, I guess the areas that I thought that, I mean, I've always pretty much been really into exercise and what is it?
Nutrition?
Nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition. But like, I think the hardest part for me was probably going to be the supplements and, you know, the
Remembering
diet
to take
per
them.
se, the diet per se, and really those two areas. I mean, I was killing it. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, for sure. Like, I mean, it's a lot harder also, because you really do have to read the ingredient labels on everything you buy, and that's another thing that was really eye-opening. I mean, just the soy that's in this and that, and, you know, everything on the shelf. It's amazing.
It's a steady drip.
But
It's a steady drip.
yeah, just all the preservatives that are in, even just, you know, basically anything that's not raw fruit or vegetable or meat, you know.
And along with this decreased stomach pain, would you say the sleep's improved?
Oh my gosh, yes, too. That is awesome.
Now I
pretty
can
much,
just run right into the room and jump onto the bed, and she's still out cold. So.
I've never really had a problem going to sleep. That was
Sure.
never my problem. I could always head hit the pillow out. It's just waking up in the middle of the night and being up for hours. And now I sleep through the night, and if I do wake up, I'm able to put myself back to sleep within, you know, 10 to 20 minutes max, if that. I don't have any problems there really at all. So that's been really great. Really
Awesome.
great. Because I used to be waking up at 4 in the morning, like, even if I do go back to sleep at this point, I'm only going to be asleep for like an hour before I have to wake up for work. So,
So sorry to jump in, but there was one other area that I just kind of wanted to bring up. Neither one of us were really looking for like weight loss, but it was kind of like a byproduct, a side product. I kind of followed her plan, one, to be supportive, and two, because, you know, I like to eat and she cooks all my food, so I kind of had to be. But, you know, she followed it 100%. I was 80%, and I lost 10 to 12 pounds, and I know you lost some weight as well, and that wasn't even like
about 10.
About 10, and that wasn't even on her list of issues, so it was just kind of a added bonus, I guess you could say.
Well, and I say often weight loss is a side effect of getting healthy. So in our culture, you know, the women, that's high up there, even if it's not stated oftentimes, and it's just a testament to you take care of the real issues, and the weight falls off.
Yeah.
Often, and it's very common for the men to lose it easier than the women, so the women are always a little mad at the husband, but you know, so in tying it all together, one obstacle to people for functional medicine may be that they've heard it's expensive, right? That maybe you don't know that, but that's something people bring up. So having experienced it, been through it, faced the finances and all that, and given your previous history of maybe paying a cheap copay, but maybe getting what you pay for, you know, kind of speak to that. If someone's on the fence because of that, what would you say in terms of?
I mean, worth every penny. I honestly feel like a completely different person, and it's changed my views of things and how I mean, it's changed my whole life, and I'm so thankful that I met Dr. Bartemus, and that, you know, husband was supportive enough for us to take the leap and do this financially. You know, we sat down and we kind of had an idea when we came in, and you know, we still sat down when we, you know, had the thing and had the estimate, and we're talking about it, but we knew, you know, the goal. And
you just have to maybe rearrange some priorities, but there's no price on being healthy, and there's no price. Like I told her, like, we're investing now for our future. Like, we're investing now to have the life of happiness, of not having anxiety, of knowing what to do moving forward with belly aches or brain fog. We know what to do now, and we have an adversary for us as well. And you know, it's just... But
just the time that I get with my son and my husband, and just being able to be present, like, that is worth more than any amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, and
Thank you.
I hope if you're out there seeing this and you can relate to Scott and Rebecca's story, that you'll give us a call, because our goal is to take you from where you're at and take you to a life at optimal. So functionalmedicinecharlotte.com is an easy way to get in touch.